Evening Vinyl community, it's Rob back for yet another video. This is another vinyl finds. Again, I've been to my local shop in Stratford-on-Avon, SJ Records, and I actually got an email from Ben, who's my friend from there, who runs the shop. And he very kindly lets me know when he gets stuff in that he knows I'm going to like, or he suspects that I'm going to like, because he knows my taste pretty well. As I say, I've been going for about 3 years now. So, and we talk a lot and exchange stuff on YouTube links on stuff, and talk about music all the time. Yeah, so. But those two in particular I'm going to save till last, because one of them in particular is an absolute grail, and I was delighted to find. So, but I'll save that one to the end. So anyway, cheers everybody. This is a cup of coffee. Yes, no alcohol, alcohol free tonight. Yeah, I've been feeling a bit off colour last few days. I think there's a bit of a bug going around or something, and I thought I'd give my liver a bit of a rest, and yeah, so I'm complete sobriety tonight, but cheers anyway. Okay, so kicking it off, this first one is a band called Arrival. Knew nothing about this band at all. This was in a new inbox that he had of fairly cheap records. It's on the Decca label, and I believe it's from 1970. There's the back cover. Now, there's actually, what caught my eye is that there's a write-up by Dusty Springfield, and obviously she's got pretty good taste. So, anything that's kind of recommended by somebody of her caliber, in my mind, is well worth checking out. So, yeah, it says, suddenly they were on the TV screen and they reached out and touched me as no other group had ever done. For me, Arrival were most definitely here. It appears they had a whole lot of people with the same impact. Arrival and Friends were both on their way to being monster hits. On this, their first album, they run through a whole lot of changes with incredible ease and assurance. Whether it's Diane, Frank, Carol or Paddy singing lead, their full warm harmonies are always there, swooping and soaring, hitting you like some giant velvet hammer. They sing with joy, sadness and wit, and as you listen, they'll reach out and touch you. Enough said. Okay, and then there's a write-up by a guy called Tony Hall, who says, Arrival are quite unlike any collection of musicians I've ever come across in my life. They're absolutely unique as people as well as performers. They are as tight as their harmonies together. They are as one, yet all seven have completely individual identities. Progressive is an extremely overworked word, but Arrival are progressive in the way that it really matters musically. I'm proud they chose me to help them. So, yeah. And yeah, he put it on in the shop for me, and it's great. It's, I guess, to liken it, it's sort of along the lines of Fifth Dimension or Association. So, great vocal harmonies, sort of slightly jazzy pop, sort of tinges of psychedelia, I guess. But there's a great version of Light My Fire on here. Yeah, I didn't know the other songs. I think they're original compositions, but so that's Arrival anyway. And yeah, it's on this Decca label. As I say, it's from 1970. So, but yeah, pleased to pick that up. And it only cost a couple of quid, and it sounds great. So yeah, pleased to pick that up. The next one was another artist I've not heard of. I always like to pick up 60s female vocalists. I love like Astrid Gilberto and yeah, and you know, artists like that, Francois Hardy. And this is an artist called, I'm not sure if I can pronounce, she's a French artist called Mireille Mathieu. Yeah, look at that haircut. The classic sort of Mary Quant, very classic of the time, but yeah, wonderful cover. That's the back cover. Obviously, they're all in French. A majority of them are. And yeah, this is all right. It's on the Fontana label, and condition's excellent. Take out the sleeve if anybody's interested. See the vinyl. Okay. Yeah, this is from 1966. So yeah, he played a bit of it in the shop, and she sings a little bit like Edith Piaf. Yeah, it's all right. It's orchestrated, and the arrangements are, I suppose, typical for the time. But yeah, she's got a nice voice. It's nothing incredible or amazing, but you know, I thought, well, for a £5 it was worth picking up, and it'll probably be a grower. So that's Mireille Mathieu, and yeah, I was just seeing if there was another title, but that is the title of the record. So okay, next one is this album by Don McLean. This is called Homeless Brother. Other than American Pie, I'm not really that familiar with Don McLean. Obviously, I know he did Crying, one or two other songs, but this is an album that I hadn't heard. This is on United Artists. It's from 1975, I believe. Yeah, it's on this UA label. Yeah, and he actually gave me this. This is a freebie, so I was very, very pleased to receive that. So I'll be looking forward to listening to that. As I say, it's not any Don McLean that I'm particularly familiar with. I think there's a covers. There's Crying in the Chapel there, and yeah. So other than that, I'm not really familiar with this. So that'll be nice to listen to. Okay, now the next couple are really interesting. I've been looking out for Martin Denny stuff, that sort of exotica stuff from the late 50s and 60s, which you just don't see, or I don't see it. I know a couple of guys on the VC have shown it in the past. I've seen it shown, but I've not been able to find any. This is an artist called Arthur Lyman, and these are two albums, which is Taboo. That's that one, and there's volume 2. Yeah, amazing cover. And it's, for those not familiar with this kind of music, it's like kind of Polynesian style folk or Hawaiian kind of music, but not typical Hawaiian. Use of a lot of percussion and weird and wonderful sounds, bird calls, and yeah, it's really atmospheric. And I've streamed quite a bit of that kind of stuff online. But as I say, it's the first time I've found it. But I think this guy was actually the sort of founder almost of this kind of music, along with Martin Denny, who obviously did stuff alongside as well. It's on, anybody wants to see the label, it's on this Vogue Records. So I'm not sure the year, the UK pressings. But yeah, I would imagine they're 60s. Can't actually find the label at the moment, so but yeah, I'll show you again anyway. So that's volume 1, The Exotic Sounds of Arthur Lyman, and Taboo volume 2. yeah, wonderful stuff. So yeah, very pleased to pick those up. Okay, next one is an addition to my Kate Bush collection. You'll know this is the Dreaming, fabulous album. I've had this on CD for a long time, but just never got round to picking up a vinyl copy. Yeah, fantastic. Very, very dreamy, surreal, incredibly surreal, but interesting. All the tracks sound very different. Probably the most down-to-earth song, I think, was the single, which was There Goes a Tenor, but I don't think it was a particularly big hit. But yeah, I mean, Get Out of My House, the last track, powerful stuff. Night of the Swallow, All the Love. Sat in Your Lap was the single, as well as the Dreaming, the title track, of course, as well. But yeah, very, very interesting. Arguably, probably one of her best albums, or either her best album, or certainly up there with one of her best out of her early work. So I say this is, I had the first three on vinyl, but this was one I was missing. So yeah, pleased to pick that up. Okay, now these are the last two ones that that were put aside for me by Ben, which I was delighted. The first one is a reissue of Chocolate Watch Band's second album. This is called The Inner Mystique. It's their second album from late '67, I believe. This is obviously a repress. As a lot of these psychedelic albums that I find are, it's on this Tower label. Yeah, and it's really interesting because obviously they're a very garage kind of psych band. What I didn't realise after hearing the first album was side one of this album that just sounded nothing like the first album. You know, it was almost like a leap forward in production and arrangements, and the sound of it, that it almost sounded like a different band. When I actually looked on Wikipedia about this, it actually turns out that I don't think any of the band were playing on the first side of the record. So I don't know whether that was a contractual thing or whatever. I mean, there's probably a lot of psych heads out there that could probably, who are much more knowledgeable than me, that would be able to fill me in on that, and I'd be interested to know. But yeah, the second side is very much more garage like their first album. But got a great version of the Kinks' I'm Not Like Everybody Else, which I really liked. But yeah, it's a great album. You know, really spaced out, particularly the first side. Wonderful stuff. Really enjoy that. So yeah, pleased to get that. And now this last one, I've been looking for his albums forever, and you never find them in the wild. I found his second album last year in a shop in Bournemouth, but it was warped, and I was absolutely gutted. But yeah, this is Scott Walker's debut, Scott. Magnificent artist. Absolutely love this. And you never see them because they're so good. People just don't get rid of these albums. I know the fourth one is generally considered to be his best, and I'd probably agree with that. I don't know anybody who's ever seen a copy of that in the wild, certainly an original copy anyway. But this is just wonderful. Obviously, you've got the Jack Brel songs on here, Amsterdam, My Death, but Angelica, When Joanna Loved Me. Just every song is just sublime. Wonderful arrangements, of course, that he always has on his albums, orchestrated and so on. And just his beautifully rich vocals, totally unique. You know, once you've heard him, you never forget. Wonderful. Absolutely delighted, and I didn't hesitate. I bought this immediately. So just got to try and find the other three now. But so that's those are all my finds. I'm really pleased with those pickups. Yeah, I hope you guys are all doing well anyway. It's very, very windy again here for the second weekend running. We've got Storm Dennis hitting us here in the UK, getting well and truly battered, but I'm inside now and batten down the hatches and I'll while away my Saturday night with my cup of coffee. So anyway, guys, hope you're all doing really well. Keep spinning the vinyl and enjoy the weekend. And I'll see you all very, very soon. Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.